Hello everyone, a very warm welcome. I'm aware we're still gathering slowly, so I'm just going to slowly start. Welcome everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm your Open Circle host, so if you have any practical inquiries throughout the session, I'm here for you. So warmest welcome to Waking Up Through the Meta Crisis with Stephen Bodian today. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being willing to wake up together through this challenging time for all of us. And before we start, I want to let you know we are recording and you're going to receive a link to the recording. And I'm only recording Stephen's video, so even if you ask a question or share anything, your video will not be included. And to let you know, we have a raise hand function that you will find at the bottom of Zoom, and it's either raise hand on its own or you can find it under React at the bottom of Zoom, depending on your version of Zoom. And I think that's all I have to say to begin with. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Great to be with you. And I hand it over to you, Stephen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and welcome to everyone. Let me change here to the gallery view so I can see all of you as much as possible. There we go. Okay. Oops. Okay. Hello, everyone. So yes, waking up through the meta crisis, or as I recently renamed it, finding deeper ground in turbulent times, since the meta crisis seems to have heated up over the last few months. So let me begin with a wonderful poem by Rumi. Oh, Rumi is always a great resource that speaks to what we'll be talking about, and then I'll lead you in a guided meditation precisely for finding deeper ground. Because as we know, things are always changing, sometimes more rapidly and drastically than others, but impermanence is the name of the game, as the Buddha taught so many years ago. So here's the excerpt from a poem by Rumi called which speaks to this issue. Outside the freezing desert night, this other night inside grows warm, kindling. Let the landscape be covered with thorny crust. We have a soft garden in here. The continents blasted, cities and little towns, everything become a scorched, blackened ball. The news we hear is full of grief for that future. But the real news inside here is there's no news at all. So I'll read it one more time. Outside the freezing desert night, this other night inside grows warm, kindling. Let the landscape be covered with thorny crust. We have a soft garden in here. Continents blasted, cities and little towns, everything become a scorched, blackened ball. The news we hear is full of grief for that future. But the real news inside here is there's no news at all. So let's do a little guided meditation, okay, to find that soft garden inside. And then we'll have some time to dialogue and discuss. So begin by first noticing where your attention is focused right now. Often, whether we know it or not, our attention or awareness is fixated somewhere. Often in the brain somewhere, the front cortex, the forehead. Just notice where your attention is focused right now, without judgment. And then allow awareness to slowly descend down through the head and throat and chest into the breath, and let it ride on, flow with the coming and going of the breath, not from above, but from inside, from within the breath itself. Could be the rising and falling of the chest and belly as you breathe, or the sensations at the nostrils as the breath enters and leaves. A little while, a few minutes, just being aware of the breath. No need to focus. Very gentle presencing of your breath from within. Thoughts come and go, they're not a problem. Allow them to arise and pass away, and rest on the breath. Even in an exercise as simple and familiar as being aware of the breath, there's always the possibility that the separate self that's being aware may fall away, and there's just breathing, No separation possible in every moment. The separate self is just a thought arising and passing in the awareness that you are. There's no place to go, nothing to get. This moment of awareness is complete just as it is. And now you can let go of the focus on the breath and allow awareness to naturally open, expand, like the aperture of a camera, to include the full range of sensations inside and outside the body, allowing the arbitrary division between inside and outside to drop away, allowing awareness to open expand beyond the boundaries of the body, infinitely in every direction. Awareness, like the sky, includes everything in its boundaryless embrace. No limit, no end to the openness. Be the openness, be the global awareness. Effortlessly, simply allowing. And again, the sense of being a separate someone, aware, may just drop away. And there's just awareness, just openness, without content, free of all limitation. And just now allow yourself to rest as this openness, and allow experiences to come and go, Thoughts, emotions, sounds, sensations. You are the vast, open awareness in which all experiences arise and pass away. This is who you really are, your fundamental spiritual nature. Just rest as the openness and allow experiences to arise and pass away. attaching, not identifying, not grasping, pushing away, whether positive or negative. Just allow it to arise and pass. No interpretation, no analysis, no investigation, no judgment, just this. And as you continue to rest as awareness and allow experience to be as it is, you can allow a certain heart dimension to enter in as allowing turns into welcoming. Welcoming your experience just as it is. Reality has to offer. This is what this precious moment appears as. Here it is. I welcome what arises. And even the I falls away into simply welcoming. Just this. This precious moment that has been given doesn't belong to anyone, couldn't be otherwise precious, irreplaceable. A gift from the mystery. And as you continue to welcome, notice any tendency to judge, push away, or identify certain experiences may not be welcome in the midst of the welcoming. There may be emotional reactions, resistance. Notice this as well. Welcome this as well. Welcome the full range of feelings, sensations, judgments, interpretations. All of that is arising in you. You are the that welcomes all the experience. You are the context in which all the content arises. Just be who you are. Be the awareness that welcomes what is. And as you rest in awareness and welcome what is, allow images, thoughts, stories about the current world situation that have been disturbing you over the last weeks or months, whether it's the political situation or the climate crisis or the threat of nuclear proliferation, whatever it might be, just allow those thoughts to arise as well and welcome those as well, And welcome your feelings about them. Nothing is foreign, nothing is left out, Welcoming means welcoming the full range of your experience. So once again, continue to rest in the welcoming. You are the awareness that welcomes the totality of what is. And in the end, awareness and what it's aware of are not separate. There is just this irreplaceable moment right now. So continue to rest as this deeper ground of awareness. You might even feel yourself energetically letting go of any holding, any positioning, any efforting, dropping into this deeper ground of presence, of welcoming just everything just as it is. Feeling this presence going deep into the earth, beneath the ground, the physical ground, down into the earth, and opening out globally like the sky, full range of presence, allowing yourself to ground into this non-dual presence. Nothing left out, no need to sustain it. Everything is as it is. Just this. Okay, you can let go of the meditation. Come back into the room, the virtual room. Whoops. So finding deeper ground, in turbulent times, this is what's required. This is what's asked of us, Find that deeper presence, free of the content, Content is constantly changing. We can't rely on it. Even if the world is a scorched, blackened ball, as Rumi describes it, we can return to this garden inside, whether it's a garden or not. That's a wonderful Sufi image, to this deep sense of peace and welcoming and openness. And I would say, as spiritual warriors, as those who are holding the frequency, as I talked about last time in Eckhart Tolle's words, this is our job in a way. This is what we're here for, as well as whatever else we may feel drawn to do, but to hold that ground, to stay connected to who we really are, in the midst of the most radical circumstances, in which we may feel powerless to do anything else. This is something actually profound that we can offer to the situation, to life itself. So I just want to emphasize that this is actually of great benefit in the midst of turmoil and turbulence and difficulty and challenge. So I just want to open it up for sharing, for questions. Again, not to go into great detail about current circumstances, more about how you're doing in holding that space, how you're doing grounding in that deeper knowing of the nature of reality, huh? That this present moment is complete as it is. So it's really about coming back again and again to just this, to welcoming reality, life as it is, huh? And another thing to remember is that, I've written about this in the new book at great length, each of us lives in a kind of dream, a narrative that we've constructed over a lifetime, based on our early life experiences, our subsequent adult experiences. We've constructed a dream, an interpretation, a narrative about how reality is, where I figure in that reality, who I am, what the world is like. And it's just a construct. And situations like this that are occurring in the world have always occurred, and maybe occurring with greater intensity right now, are calling on us to become aware of this construct, of this narrative, and how it separates us from reality, from life, just as it is. Huh? It's an interpretation, it's a filter, it's a screen. And we can become more and more aware of it at a more and more refined, granular level as we react to the way things are. Because ultimately, there is only this moment, this life, as it is. Huh? We may wish it were otherwise, but that's also part of just this. It's what is arising, and this is what we have. Huh? So we can live constantly in resistance, in interpretation, in projection, in wishing it to be different. And those thoughts and those feelings are, of course, to be welcomed and honored. But in each moment, moment after moment, this is it. This is reality. This is the way it is. And so to begin to learn to separate our interpretation of the way it is from the way it is. Our story about reality. It should be this way. What's wrong with these people? Why is life this way? The constant argument with reality, which is really one definition of ego. The argument with reality, the argument with what is. So it's a tricky discrimination here. On the one hand, yeah, we don't like it the way it is, we want to change it. On the other hand, this is it. Can we welcome what is at the same time that we welcome our desire to change it? Huh? We've talked about this in the previous satsangs. It's a fine discrimination, but to find peace in the midst of what we may deeply dislike is the paradoxical question for us, huh? So I invite us to explore, huh? How do we find peace? Because ultimately, to live in peace each moment is what we're invited to do. To find contentment, to find joy, to find happiness, to find peace in this moment, not in some projected future moment. If only reality were like this. If only I had more money, had a better job, had a better partner, was in better health. If only, right? How do we find happiness now, huh? And now, and now, and now. Because now is all we have, huh? So to find that soft garden, as Rumi calls it, right now, in any moment, huh? This is the invitation, this is the challenge, we could say, the deeper ground. Okay, so let's open it up, and I see that Garrison's there, and George is there. So Garrison, yeah.
Hi, can you?
Hello.
First, I want to say I love the Rumi poem. I love the idea of a space where there is no news, because it has indeed been overwhelming as of late.
So,
And
so the invitation, the challenge is to find that for yourself, for each of us, huh? To find that place inside where there is no news at all, no dialogue, no resistance, no headlines, just, just now. See, in each moment, that's eminently possible. And so, really, that's the invitation of meditation, spiritual practice, is to find that moment now, a timeless moment.
but I also don't want to be ignorant of the news either. Um,
I don't think we are likely to fall into that trap. I think we are much more, we have much more difficulty finding that deeper ground. In other words, I wouldn't worry about becoming insensitive or, unconcerned. I think 99% of us err on the other side.
right, right.
So I think our work is, as I say, to welcome the way it is, and at the same time stay grounded in that deeper knowing that indeed there is no news at all.
I have been saying for the past several weeks to people what I feel I'm trying to do right now is find peace amidst all this turmoil, which is why I'm here.
Yes,
Um, but not only, turbulence in the world, on a more visceral level, it's a
right.
little hard to welcome the moment when you're ill too. So, you know, it's a challenge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's, yeah, at some
But
level
what
it's
choice do I
impossible,
have?
but yeah.
Right, right. Thank you. If you can send the Rumi poem, I'd love that.
It's called The Tent.
I'll find it.
You'll
Thank you.
find it, yeah. Of course, Coleman Barks, beautiful translation. So, yeah, thanks, Garrison. Yeah. Because, at the deepest level of knowing, this is an expression of the mystery, right? Mystery that orchestrates reality and that we fundamentally are. This mystery is, calling on us to recognize it and to recognize that we are it and we are simply an expression of it. So turbulent situations like this, turbulent times, are a profound invitation to recognize that this too is the mystery, is the deep ocean of which we are simply a wave, right? Simply an expression. So we can lose that deeper knowing as we get caught up in the drama, huh? So to keep stepping back into presence, into awareness. Yeah, George.
Yes. Hi there, Stephen. I don't know if you remember me. We had,
Well, you came to one of my last recently.
no,
Yes.
I did.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
And I don't remember.
Okay,
Okay.
you don't remember. Yeah.
That's strange because I remember talking to you many years ago.
Uh-huh.
You were younger then. I was younger then. I
Yeah.
didn't have my beard.
And we're
Okay.
all older now.
Okay. We're all older now. I wanted to make two comments. Number one, with regard to deeper knowing, I have not been very successful at that. In other words, at the time of the meditation, I can do that. But in the normal course of life, I'm still the separate self living in circumstance.
And who is aware of that?
Well, yes,
You've heard me ask this question before, I know,
I'm
but
I'm completely got it. Yes.
Yeah, you understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
You remarked that we want to change it.
Change what?
I recall my conversations with you years ago. I got the sense that we can change nothing. We can do nothing, and there is no doer here. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, that's great. So I'm not sure where the contradiction comes in. Yeah.
But it seems to me, if I really got that there's no doer here, and I really got there's nothing I can do, it seems that that would lead to peace.
Yes, seems it would.
Yes, I can't worry I've done something wrong. I can't worry about the future because there's nothing I can do about it.
Okay, yeah.
So it seems to me, and tell me where I'm wrong, that the quickest path to peace for me is to really get, I mean, I know intellectually there's no doer here, but to really embody that. You know, you gave the analogy with the steering wheel. I think the kid in the back seat in the steering wheel.
Right.
So I think, tell me
That's
where
great.
I'm wrong.
That's
I think that's my nearest path.
Great, go for it.
Okay, I, I shall do that.
Okay. But you have
Okay,
no
very good.
control over that.
Pardon?
But you have no control over that.
No, of course I have no control over that. That's the whole point.
It's paradoxical. We can have the deep aspiration and intention to wake up, to realize that we're not the separate self who thinks it's in charge, but we can't make that happen. It's already the case. So it's simply a matter of recognizing what is already the case, right? And
Yeah,
when we have glimpses of that, it may not fall away completely. In fact, it usually doesn't. Even with very clear and profound glimpses of that truth, the ego may still maintain its belief in its own identity and try to hang on to control. So,
that's exactly what's happening.
yeah. But I keep
And
asking the question, who is aware of that? That's a
who is
great
aware of
question, you
that?
see. Who is aware, you know? In each moment, you can describe your experience, but who's describing it? Who's aware of it? What is this awareness is free of all identification that's always present. The fact that you can talk about any of these experiences means that there's an awareness that's present, right? It's
Yeah,
not you, it's not the separate self, it's simply awareness, huh? That's who you are. Wake up to that, huh? That's the question. Who is aware of this moment right now?
the problem with that question is I say, oh, I am. And I then tend to identify that I with the separate self, which I know is a misidentification. But that's what happens when I ask that question.
Yeah, but you're asking it in an intellectual way. I would suggest that instead of saying who is, you could say, can I recognize that which is aware of this moment right now?
Not can I recognize, can it be recognized?
Terrific, even better.
Yes.
Okay,
Can it be recognized? Okay, very good. All right,
go
thank
with
you
that.
very much,
Go
Stephen.
with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, George.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, can it be recognized? Can it be recognized? That which is aware isn't personal, doesn't belong to me. It's always present, always free of what it's aware of. That's where peace comes from. Recognizing that we are that which is free of what is arising. We are the background in which all arising occurs. Huh? Awareness free of its objects, ultimately not separate from its objects, but the first step is to recognize that which is aware and never identify with objects, with what it's aware of. Huh? Yeah, Kelly.
Hi, thank you for taking my question.
Yes, hi.
I was introduced to your teachings through the Waking Up app.
Yeah, great.
My question is, what role, if any, do you think that I'm going to use the term holding a high vision or humanity and the world and the planet and the creatures on the planet, beings on the planet? What role does that play while letting go of any specific idea of a specific outcome?
How does it affect you?
It makes me feel good, better.
Feels better, more hopeful, more positive, more loving, more
Yes,
present,
yeah,
perhaps?
yeah.
Sounds great, right?
I also tend to believe that these are thoughts, these are beliefs. I understand that.
Yeah.
Um, we're in a period of chaos, and those are inevitable throughout evolution.
Right? It's true, isn't it? That's a fact, really.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think whatever keeps us heartened, it keeps us awake and present and prevents us from going into some kind of spiral, a negative spiral. It keeps the mind at bay and allows us to remain open to possibilities, right? Because we don't know. I mean, ultimately, it's coming back to not knowing. We don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know.
Anything we project into the future is just a projection, just our mind, creating possible scenarios. Who knows what's going to happen? We really don't know. So stay open, beginner's mind. My teacher Suzuki Roshi called it, huh?
One of the things that comes up for me and again, I recognize it as a thought. It's a persistent thought pattern. How can I, when you were reading the poem and rereading the poem, how can I sit inside and enjoy the soft inner garden? It's just wrong of me to do that when the world is burning down. That it, on the one hand, I know that my suffering isn't adding to any kind of solution. But it still feels somehow immoral, ethical, if you will.
Well, I could ask you, and this could be misconstrued, but show me the world that's burning down now.
You're right.
You got it, right?
Yeah.
There's no world burning down now, right?
Right. Right.
And there's nothing wrong with living in this moment free of this image of the world burning down, because right now that's just part of your dream. You see,
Yeah.
of course, we all know there are people being murdered in Gaza and in Ukraine, and we all know that. But to hold that thought constantly, does that benefit anyone?
No.
Right.
Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, great, Kelly. You got it. Thank
Thank you.
you. Yeah. That's the inner garden we're talking about. Dropping the dream that we project onto the world, the narrative we keep them back to. And it's subtler and subtler as we progress and awaken over time. That dream becomes more and more insidious, harder and harder to recognize, to keep noticing how, even in the most minute ways and subtle ways, we keep projecting our dream onto reality. We need to keep freeing ourselves by seeing the dream again and again. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Raghu, good to see you, my friend.
Yes, you can. Um, so I don't really watch news or any feeds. I have my Facebook. I don't have any social media actually. My YouTube, I kind of programmed it to only give me spiritual talks and nothing else. Um, and as Garrison was talking about, sometimes I do feel guilty about am I kind of just ignoring it. But to the most part, that's not the challenge that I face is I'm in a very loving, beautiful relationship. But then sometimes I say something and my partner says something and just often misunderstanding, but it spirals and it's like a two, and then the the inner ground. I feel like I have to find the inner ground by getting away from that, like physically moving away. So I was really kind of
Moving away from your partner?
moving away from that space. Yeah. Or
Oh,
like
for
physically.
the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that can be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's within a relationship. You know, it's sometimes necessary to get some space. You know, I mean, that can be misunderstood. A person may feel hurt, or you know, obviously that needs to be discussed and negotiated. But right, you know, Rilke said, "May let there be spaces in your togetherness." Right? I think it's normal to want that.
Okay.
You know, one partner may want you know, more closeness than the other. That's typical in relationships, as long as you can talk about it and come to a balance, a healthy balance. Yeah, great.
And the other thing also comes up with is the relationship with time. And I wonder if there's a way to kind of find more like deeper grounding where I feel like time is moving, there's work and
Time is a projection completely. There is no time, really. You know, there's only now constantly changing. If you really get that, you won't worry about time anymore. There's just now, and now is constantly changing, and we take that to be time. You know, the mind construes that as time. But there's only now. There's only always now, right? Can you find anything outside of now? Can you show me anything outside of now? There's only now, constantly changing. So, and what we make of time is part of this story, part of the narrative. Our relationship with time, which is just a thought, is based on our conditioning. You know, if we were hurried up as children and made to feel like, you know, we had to get things done right away or put under pressure or something, our relationship with time will be of a certain kind. If we were given plenty of space as a child, then our relationship of time will be different, you know. But there's only now. You do what you do now. Do what you can now. You know, Ramana says, immerse yourself in the moment and the future will take care of itself. Right? You know, if we really understand that and act from that space, then time will take care of itself, you know? So that's the deeper truth, I would say, huh? And of course, time is a kind of currency. It's something we talk about with one another as if it exists. And, you know, if you say, I'm going to meet you tomorrow at 2 p.m., then of course you want to get there on time. But, you know, the struggle we have about getting there on time, or the fear or the concern, is based on our conditioning. You know, if I don't get there on time, what's going to happen? They won't love me, they won't approve of me, I'll lose my job, you know, whatever it is, right? So to look at that, that's again part of the dream, part of the narrative. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help. Constantly thinking about it doesn't help. It probably even comes in the way of kind of being fully here and being effective.
Yeah, the more that you can see it as unnecessary to actually getting things done and, you know, on time, you know, it actually creates more anxiety and more stress, which makes it more difficult to get things done on time. So try immersing yourself in the moment and see what happens. More and more. I mean, that's what this practice, again, is about. Just immersing ourselves in the now. Just this, moment after moment. Huh? Okay, thanks, Raghu. Yes, Pamela.
Thank you, Stephen. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is wonderful. So appreciate this gathering. So talk to us about, so like you said earlier, we are context and all content is arising within us.
Yeah.
So I deeply feel that, not just my head, but I can embody that. But where I have a lot of dissonance is, so talk to me about free will, or is another way of saying that my idea that I am a doer,
Right.
contributing. Yeah.
So say a little more about that, though. Free. What do you mean free will? I mean, obviously we do. I'm not big on this teaching about where there's no doer. I get it, the same with free will, but it's not really where I come down strongly. It's not what I emphasize because we're constantly doing, you know,
Right.
doing. To say you're not a doer, what we're saying is there's no separate someone doing, right? But you, as an expression of the whole, are constantly making your contribution. You're constantly doing. And when you feel moved from a deeper place, a deeper knowing, to act in a certain way, then by all means act in that way, knowing that you are expressing in some way your particular part in the whole, right? But again, not to identify with that. Your deeper ground is awareness, huh? What we've been talking about.
Okay.
Presence,
Yeah.
the non-dual. There's no separation. The ocean. I am the ocean, and I'm also a wave expressing itself in the ocean, right? We're both simultaneously, absolute and relative. And each of us has our, I would say, unique contribution as a separate wave to make. So I think this whole not doer thing can de-emphasize the fact that we are unique and precious expressions of the whole that we at the deepest level are, right? And
Yeah, that
and we
feels
need to
right.
honor, yeah, and we need to honor that. There is that dimension as well. There's the absolute dimension. I'm no one and nothing. I'm the ocean of being, which is expressing itself through me. At the same time, I'm this person with a partner and children and a job that I have to do. And there's that, that's the relative dimension. Then there's an intermediate dimension, I would say, sometimes called soul, in which I am this unique expression and have a unique contribution to make to the whole. And there's something to be honored in that as well,
So would you call that free will?
I don't know if free will it needs to enter in.
Okay.
Free will is just a concept.
Okay.
What difference does it make whether it's free will or not? You have to do what you have to do.
All right. It's just,
It's the mind trying to figure something out that can't be understood.
yeah.
That's my sense of the whole argument around free will.
Yeah.
Like free will, no free will, who knows? Just do what you need to do. Do what you feel called to do. It's more like, it's like, how shall I say? The question of free will is more like looking through the rear view mirror and saying, was that free will or not? It's like, why do you need to know? Just do it. Right? I mean, that's where I go with the whole thing about free will. To me, it just seems like an intellectual argument.
Yeah. I get that. I had not thought of it because I was conflating free will with doer.
Right, right. Who cares whether it's free or not? You do what you need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, there is no free will if you recognize that there's no separate someone doing. It's just the whole doing through you, the whole acting through you, the mystery expressing itself through this particular body mind. Is there free will in that? In other words, free will for whom? Who is the one who can claim free will? I mean, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that. Well, and the reason I say that is because, the brain studies have shown, this is, people always go, ooh, when they hear this, that the decision to take a particular action comes literally several seconds action has begun.
Yeah.
So the impulse to move in a certain way is subsequent, excuse me, precedes the decision to take that action. You're
Yeah.
already acting, and then the mind takes ownership of the action.
I've
That
read that.
that literally can be measured. So that sort of, to me, it just kind of collapses the whole notion of free will. I mean, if
So
that's
the
the way it
overall,
goes, yeah, then obviously we're being lived. Action is being taken through us. Yeah. And then
So
the
it's letting go.
mind gets on board. Yeah, the mind gets on board and say, "Oh, I'm doing that."
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it's one of these arguments that's been going on in Western philosophy, of course, for thousands of years. So it probably will continue indefinitely. But yeah, so thanks, Pam. Yeah,
Thank you.
So we're being drawn, and that's that soul level. I mean, why is it, for example, that one person comes in and becomes a professional tennis player, and another person comes in and becomes a civil rights attorney, right? And another person comes in and becomes a heart surgeon, you know? And seem, drawn from an early age to do those things. That's a mystery, and there's a special gift there that this person came into to share, right? And that's not absolute. It's not the relative level of ego. It's some intermediate level, which I think, the things we call soul, huh? Which has a place in the scheme of things as well. Yeah. Yeah, Peter. You got to unmute yourself.
Thank you for this gathering.
Great.
Like Kelly, I come to you through the Waking Up app. And the meditations you are offering there were very helpful to me.
Great.
Thank you very much for that. At this moment, I have two questions. One question is, in a sense, whether I'm on the correct way. How do I recognize whether what I experiences are glimpses of the non-doer? Yeah, in a sense, I believe I have glimpses of the non-doer, but I'm not sure whether this is an illusion. And how can and basically I'm here to listen to you and to the other participants, perhaps to find some guidance which allows me to answer that question.
Sure.
And then was this other point about getting things done. This was somebody during the discussion today mentioned it. It's also a title of a book. I meditate twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, for a couple of years now. And it may be a question of getting older, but I wonder whether finding the inner peace interferes with getting things done, because certain things appear to be less important than they appeared to be 5 years ago.
Right. Well, if your priority is getting things done, then this journey of awakening may not be for you,
No, this is not my priority. I had a long, busy life where that
Got a
was
long,
my
busy life.
priority.
That's right. So let go of your concerns about getting things done.
Okay.
And again, as I said to Raghu, just immerse yourself in the now and notice how things get done. Be aware of how things get done without your necessity to make them happen. Huh?
Yeah.
So I think you'll find that things do get done somehow in some mysterious way, whether you make it happen. That's, I think, what we're the doing that we're talking about, making it happen. Of course, we're constantly doing, but we don't need to make it happen. Huh?
Yeah.
It will happen in its own way, in its own unique way. And as for your experiences of non-dual, first of all, remember that reality is inherently non-dual, right? It's not a special state, huh? It's the way it is. There is only this moment endlessly unfolding, and the sense of being a separate self is just another experience in this unfolding reality. It's just another thought. But there is no separate self aside from the thought of the separate self. You know, it's just an image, a self-image, huh? And certain energies that function in certain ways, very naturally, but don't have a a separate substantiality to them, huh? So non-dual moments are based on those moments, non-dual moments of non-dual recognition. Every moment is non-dual, but moments of non-dual recognition are the moments when you recognize that reality is just happening and there's no separate someone there making it happen again. And the separate someone that I took to be the one making it happen is just another arising within the totality. That's what the non-dual experience is. This one here and this one there are not two. There's just a continuum, huh?
Yeah.
Experiencing, not someone experiencing and something experienced. Awareness, consciousness. That's non-dual. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, better. I mean, do you have experiences which you would say are like what I just described? If so, I would honor them and trust them. You know,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think people tend to err on the side. Most people tend to err on the side of not trusting their experience. So I tend to encourage people to trust your experience. If it feels like a non-dual realization, then by all means, enjoy it. Right?
Thank
Yeah, great. Thanks, Peter. Yeah. Yeah, Irene, hi there.
Yes. Hi, Stephen. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, what shall we talk about?
Um, what I would like to talk about is somehow this sense of like how to hold all of what's happening with an open heart. It it feels, I mean, even with, of course, the awareness and being seated in that place is absolutely, the throne of peace. Um, anyway, I guess my
I
question,
like the way you say that, the throne of peace. Beautiful.
yeah,
Peace and that awareness is the throne of peace. Beautiful.
yes, yes, I notice my heart is heavy. It just seems like in a sense, it feels like it's been opening, but it's been hard to hold what's happening on a human
Don't
level.
hold it.
Don't hold.
Seriously, don't hold it.
I think you just
That's
said
my
it.
answer, Irene.
Okay.
Don't hold it.
Okay. Actually,
Figure out what that means, okay?
okay.
Yeah, it's not your responsibility to hold it,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that helps. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, put it down,
Okay.
or you don't even have to put it down. Just let go of it. Just stop holding it.
Okay.
Putting
Okay.
it down, putting it down takes too much effort. Just let go of it. You don't have to hold it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Satyani. Hi there. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Even it's so nice to see you, and I'm grateful to hear these beautiful reminders, which are so simple and yet so profound.
Right, right. Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess, yeah, certainly when I'm intentionally pausing to notice awareness and what is arising in it, Lovely.
Yeah.
And then, as you well know,
And it's so simple. I love the way you say that. Noticing awareness and what's arising in it. It's so simple, really, isn't it?
mhm.
And yet,
However,
and yet,
when,
right, right.
as you well know, when other people are involved, especially my special someone, sometimes, I mean, we are ever more flowing together easily. So I'm grateful for that. And when there are times when my past traumas are triggered, I find that, exceedingly difficult to rest in awareness and simply be.
Past
And
trauma.
then,
Yeah, trauma is a big, important topic.
mhm,
I'm just finishing a book and I have a whole chapter on trauma and awakening because I think it's so important. I think the
yes.
whole paradigm of trauma and how that affects our ability to abide and trust in the
Mhm,
moment, you know,
mm,
is a really important topic that hasn't been addressed, I don't think,
mhm,
sufficiently. Yeah.
yeah. And so I do realize that my partner is not intentionally trying to harm me. However, I may experience harm when those traumas are triggered. And so sometimes, once I'm wound up, I go off, but sometimes, exceedingly more so recently, I've just learned to just, okay, say my piece and stop and just rest with that until, because I am seeking insight, like how do I transform this? And then when I make those connections and I can see, oh, when he said this, it reminded me of another incident that
That's
caused me harm. And so I can release him because I know he's not trying to harm me.
right.
But I share that with him. I said, just so that you're more aware next time that this might be happening. And it also helps to tone down the reaction within myself because I do trust and love him and know he wants the best for me and he's human. He can't read my mind. And so it's up to me to help him to better understand me. I think that's part of my responsibility. I try to understand as well.
Right. No, exactly. I love the way you describe your relationship, and having known you two a little bit as well. I think it's beautiful the way you dance with one another, you know.
Yeah.
So I say just
Yeah.
keep dancing,
Yeah.
sometimes it's good. It's not, it's great to be able to push up against someone and argue a little bit, It's like, and that's how we love one another too. And we're
Mhm.
teaching one another in the process. So,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's my aspiration in all my relationships to be more aware
That's right.
of
That's all we can
triggers.
do. That's right. And keep seeing through the narrative, the dream,
Hmm.
like I was talking about. That's exactly what you're describing. Particularly those of us who've been traumatized, and I'm one,
Hmm.
have been traumatized in early life and
Hmm.
throughout life perhaps as well. There is the filter is very thick. The filter that we
Hmm.
see through and the points at which triggered, may continue to arise, no matter how clear we are about who we really are and how much we can abide in awakened awareness. Those triggers still come up, and that's the
Hmm.
ongoing work.
Right.
Seeing the dream as a dream and finding ourselves free of it moment after moment.
Hmm.
It's
And
the way that we love ourselves and love,
mm,
and love others, because love is released when we're able to do that, right?
absolutely. And that's, I feel so blessed when we connect in that way.
Exactly.
So, so then on the global scale, as has been mentioned by some of the previous participants, I too get very triggered by the news. So, I mean, I was really keeping up with Gaza, I guess, for quite a while until it was just not good for my. Um, and I wrote letters to Biden and Harris, and I've marched on the National Mall with Plum Village, and feel it has no impact. So
Yeah.
then I realized what I need to do is wage the peace within my own heart, because it's the only place where I have agency.
Beautiful.
I will probably,
I think that's true. And
yeah.
who knows what effect your marching on the mall or writing letters has had. We don't know. You can't say that it's had no effect. We don't know. But it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't seem like
Mhm.
it. And certainly things are not going the way you want them to. So it doesn't feel like you have much control or effect.
Mhm.
But who knows even, it's
Mhm.
all of it's this mystery, and our participation in it has unknown and mysterious effect on the way things unfold. Because
Mhm.
again, we are part of the whole expressing itself, you know.
Mhm.
Your voice is just one of the many voices that's being expressed in this totality, which is unfolding in some mysterious way, can't be measured.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's true. So I can release my disappointment because I really don't know what effect it has had. And energetically, everything we do has an effect, and we
I
know
think so.
this,
I think
even if
so.
we can't measure it. Yeah. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
but
it's
mhm,
easy to jump to some conclusion. Either, gee, I'm making a big impact or I'm having no impact. It's all just the mind trying to understand what it
mhm,
can't understand. I mean, who
mm,
knows? I mean, what's going on now, in the world, particularly in the United States, of course. I mean, and how that's impacting the world. I mean, it's unprecedented.
mm,
We can't even begin to measure it. I mean, what's going on here? I mean,
mm,
it certainly gives us a sense that there are forces beyond our control that are being, harnessed and released. You know, there's this line from a Rumi, no, not a Rumi poem, but a Yeats poem. I don't remember the name, but he says, "What rough beast, its hour come round at last, slouches toward Bethlehem to be born."
mm.
And this is called it's called the second coming, and it's really about the Antichrist. So what rough beast? It's our come. I mean, what is this rough beast that's been leashed upon the world? I mean, it's like something from a horror movie or something. It's there are primal forces at work here beyond our comprehension.
Mm.
So we can't even begin to understand what's happening here. It is my sense. So attempt to try to understand it. You know. is is ultimately going to be uh, fruitless. Yeah,
Exactly. Madness cannot be understood.
yeah, that's cannot be. Yeah, it's a kind of madness, and it's archetypal. I mean, I think this is happening in a realm that's beyond our comprehension. So,
Mhm.
we come from this more Buddhist point of view, and in which, there's everything is, but leaves out the archetypal. Buddhism and these other traditions don't talk about the archetypal. The Jungians talk about the archetypal. Certain traditions like astrology talk about the archetypal. There are forces at work that are beyond our ability to understand them,
How would you describe this particular archetype?
I'm not sure, but again,
Oh, okay.
I'm really not sure.
Okay.
Again, like, what was the word the you use one way to describe it, but
Madness?
yeah, madness, exactly, a kind of madness.
It is.
For example, archetypes would be Apollo versus Dionysus. If you take those from traditional mythology, right,
Mhm.
Apollo is order, right? Intellect, having everything all lined up and control and sense of orderliness to the universe. Dionysus is chaos, you know. Everything is happening in some random way and chaotic way, which is a kind of divine expression of, divine madness. Again,
Mhm.
is it divine madness? Is it evil incarnate? We don't talk about those things from the Eastern point of view, but there are forces at work here that we can't understand. I don't
Mhm.
spend much time trying to understand the archetypal, but I bow to the archetypal. Huh? There are
Mm.
forces at work. And that's why it's called the mystery, right? So anyway, those are my particular thoughts on here. There are things that are unfolding in ways that they talk about the different kalpas, the Kali Yuga, who knows? We don't know.
So again, these are things beyond our so-called free will, which really doesn't exist, because I've experienced what you described as well, that the impulse to move into action precedes the, oh, look what I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it is a mystery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Satyani, for bringing that up. Yeah, I know I've diverged a little into this archetypal realm, which some may find a little strange, but I also studied many years. And when you really study astrology and you start noticing the way things happen, you realize, you really know that you're not in control because there are forces at work in the universe that we can't identify even clearly enough, but are beyond our comprehension. So astrology is a rough map of some forces that you could say are sacred forces that we can't really comprehend. So it is a mystery. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks,
Thank
Satyani.
you.
Let's sit together for the last 5 minutes in awe of the mystery. Huh? Okay. Punjaji, one of the disciples of Ramana Maharshi, said, and this is my favorite pointer, I'm in love with the mystery, and I don't know what it is. So rest as awareness and welcome everything as it is. Okay, thank you everyone. It's been lovely to be together. And I'll be doing another of these satsangs, Finding Deeper Ground in Turbulent in May as well, first Saturday in May. And then I'll be offering as well a 2-day mini retreat, June 7th and 8th, also through Open Circle. I invite you to join. And as well, the School for Awakening begins in September for 8 months. I invite you to check it out and consider joining. It's a great opportunity to immerse yourself in the non-dual teachings and practices for 8 months with a great group of folks, like-minded folks. So thank you so much. Yeah, and the book that I'm talking about, we're just finishing up with Shambhala. It'll be coming out, unfortunately, not until next spring, but so you'll get notice of it when it's getting close. Thanks again. Namaste.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Stephen. See you soon, hopefully.
Thank you, Stephen. Will the retreat be available online?
Online, yes. Online retreat. Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at the date.